Welcome to the world of OliDent professional dental materials. You will find out what makes OliDent products special, how to use them, and how they can change your everyday work. OliTemp Aesthetic is a bis acrylic material for temporary reconstruction of teeth. Its aesthetic and natural appearance, as well as excellent mechanical properties, guarantee a functional, long-lasting restoration. OliTemp Aesthetic has been primarily indicated for temporary reconstruction of missing or prepared teeth, as well as to visualize future effects of the final restoration, both in terms of shape and color. Due to automatic mixing, OliTemp Aesthetic always provides homogeneous consistency without any air bubbles that could cause cracks. It is good chemically to allow control of individual phases. In the elastic phase, easy removal from the oral cavity and pre-treatment with a scalpel. In the polymerized phase, preparation with rotary tools. OliTemp Aesthetic temporary restorations are resistant to fractures and deformation due to perfect mechanical parameters. Resistance to chewing forces ensures proper occlusion and support for adjacent teeth. Even extensive bridges are stable in both the short and long term. Besides aesthetic values, a temporary restoration protects the tooth pulp, stabilizes its position, and enables keeping the proper chewing function and correct phonetics. OliTemp C is a temporary cement based on zinc oxide designed for the cementation of temporary crowns, bridges, and veneers, as well as for trial fixing of final prosthetic restorations. A very thin cement film is sufficient to ensure optimal adhesion. The temporary reconstruction will remain its perfect fit, and the height of the occlusion will be kept. The physical properties of OliTemp C enable trouble-free removal of the cement residues, safe retention of restorations, and, most of all, their easy removal. Both the abutments and the restorations do not require any laborious cleaning. OliTemp C does not contain eugenol, hence the negative impact on the adhesion of final composite cements is eliminated. The first stage involves preparing a silicone index that will serve as a matrix for the temporary restoration. OliSil Putty Fast and OliSil Hydro were used here. OliSil Putty Fast is a fast-setting asilicone impression material intended for hand mixing. The material's Shaw-A hardness of 70 and 99% shape recovery enable the preparation of highly precise temporary restorations. The short setting time is undoubtedly an additional advantage while taking situational impressions. When working with asilicone impression materials, remember not to use latex and powdered gloves because contact with sulfur compounds may affect the setting process. The impression should be taken before teeth preparation. In the case of incomplete dentition, an acrylic tooth can be fixed in the place of a missing tooth. Additionally, OliSil Hydro was used to increase accuracy of the impression. The ready impression must be rinsed and dried, and the drainage grooves created for temporary material excess. It is also possible to cut interdental spaces to increase stability of the temporary restoration. After taking the impression, teeth can be prepared. The OliTemp Aesthetic set contains a cartridge with the temporary material and mixing tips. Place the OliTemp Aesthetic cartridge in the dosing gun with a mixing ratio 4:1 or 10:1. OliDent offers also the 1:1 version of OliTemp Aesthetic. Before the first use of the cartridge, remove and discard the safety plug and then attach an appropriate mixing tip. It will serve as a plug until next use. Just before the first application, squeeze out a small amount of the material and discard it. It is commonly recommended for dual curing materials to level the base and the catalyst in the cartridge. When applying OliTemp Aesthetic, the mixing tip should be immersed in the material at all times to prevent the formation of air bubbles. This way, future corrections of the restoration can be avoided. Reposition the filled impression into the oral cavity within 1 minute from the start of OliTemp Aesthetic application. Excess material allows for control of the OliTemp Aesthetic polymerization level. The impression must be removed during the elastic phase. An oxygen inhibition layer can appear on the restoration immediately after the impression was taken out. It is best to remove it with a cotton swab soaked in ethanol. While still in the elastic phase, OliTemp Aesthetic can be cut with a scalpel. After complete curing, rotary instruments will be required to shape and model the restoration. If any air bubbles or cracks appear, the reconstruction can be corrected with OliTemp Aesthetic or flowable composite OliFlow. No bonding system is required. It is enough to simply tarnish the restoration surface before material application. The final prosthetic restoration can be polished or glazed. Temporary restoration cementation is the next stage of the procedure. The OliTemp C set contains a syringe with the temporary cement and mixing tips. Before the first use of the syringe, remove and discard the safety plug and then attach an appropriate mixing tip. Squeeze out a small amount of the material and discard it to level the base and the catalyst. Apply an appropriate amount of the cement into the prepared temporary restoration and then transfer to slightly damp teeth and press it down. Excess cement can be removed after about 2 to 3 minutes. An anatomically compatible temporary restoration is the key to functional and aesthetic protection of tissues. High-quality OliTemp materials make it possible to perform successful temporary treatment, which also guarantees that the final prosthetic effect will meet all expectations. Visit our YouTube channel or our website at www.olident.com to learn more about all OliDent products.